excited. I know y'all about breast.
There she is. What's going on,
Hello,
Miss
hello.
T? How you
Hey, hey,
doing, girl?
ladies. Good.
Thank
How
you.
are you?
Good, honey. Thank you for joining us. And let me make sure I'm pronouncing your first name correctly. How do you properly pronounce your first name?
Charlie, like Charlie Brown.
Okay, that's why I was like Charlene, Charla. I was like, okay, I'm
And
gonna
your
let her say
favorite
it.
character, Charlie Brown.
Okay, well now I know.
And you look like him too.
You know what you could do. Anyway, we have a guest. How you doing, Charlie?
I'm good. How are you ladies doing?
Man, this is long overdue, number one. My apologies because heifers are doing everything between the two of us. And I'm like, you know what? We have not talked to this woman, and I've been watching your grind for a while now.
Yes, ma'am. I was kind of shocked by that too. I'm like, I should have reached out a long time ago. No, what's wrong with both of us? Something's wrong with all of us.
Well, honey, I'm just glad to have you on right now because what you are doing is phenomenal. You
Thank
are
you.
an entrepreneur. You're a child advocate. You also are helping women that are trying to get lactate for breast milk,
Yes,
giving them a
ma'am.
much easier time.
Yeah.
So just give us a quick personal rundown on who Charlie is.
Like you said, I'm a maternal child health advocate. I'm owner of Mommy Sweet Treats, which is a lactation cookie company by trade, but we also have like apparel, lactation tea. I'm also an author. I wrote a book for new moms. It's a comical guide on what they can expect after giving birth. And I also work in the healthcare field by trade also. So that's what I pretty much do.
Yeah, you got all kind of hats, girl. But then where should I start? Because she's got medical, she's advocate, author, and you're also an entrepreneur. But I do want to start on the entrepreneurial end because I wish I had known about this type of stuff when I became a mom because I had started breastfeeding my son, and there were times it was difficult to produce milk. And I was looking at all these different tips. I didn't even know they had products out there that actually help you with that. But you came up with your product. So tell us how you were motivated to come up with your product and how it's doing.
Actually, I had issues with giving birth with my daughter, which is why I'm such a big maternal child health advocate, especially for African American women. It's a really big disparity when it comes to us compared to white women. And I noticed that firsthand. So when I was in the hospital, I know I wanted to breastfeed. And I noticed no one ever came in to try to assist me or ask questions of what I want to do. They just kept trying to shove the Similac down my throat. They never tried to give me any other option. And I was like, okay, well, I can't be the first person this has happened to. So I looked into it. Believe it or not, the lactation license is kind of like a secret society. A lot of Black women are not aware of it. So I was like, okay, I want to get into this because I want to make sure that I explore this and give this information to women of color instead of us just being shoved to the WIC office. Because that's typically what they do for us. So part of getting the license, you have to go to a clinical. And I noticed at that clinical, we didn't see about one Black woman. We saw a million white women, Hispanic, Asian, literally one Black woman. And she happened to be a nurse. And she said she only knew about the location because her white coworker told her about it. So that was the issue for me. And she told me that she was having issues and that she went to Babies R Us and found a brownie. And it was a lactation brownie. She said it tasted disgusting, but it was something that she could carry around. So I was like, okay. So if they're willing to buy something like that and it can help, what can I come up with? So I came up with a cookie. My cookie tastes like a real cookie. It doesn't taste disgusting. And it's something you can carry around. It's something everyone likes. So that's where the idea actually came from.
Right. Because I would think most people are a little hesitant when it comes to buying products that's supposed to help them with either health-related issues, and like you said, lactation. But because the stuff tastes like cardboard. It tastes like cardboard, no Lowry's, nothing in there.
Now, I really took time. I met with the chemist. He went to Morehouse. And we sat down and we came up with a bunch of different recipes, testing them out, and we finally got a good batch that if you ate the cookie, you would not know that it has certain ingredients in it for lactation. Because to be honest with you, my number one buyer of my cookies is a male. It's not a female. Yeah, because men can't eat the cookies. I mean, they're not going to lactate or anything. So
I was about to say, I was like, please, that's the last thing we need is even a foreplay, and all of a sudden he started leaking. We don't want that.
But what's wrong with you?
But men are able to eat it, and they haven't had any objections to how it tastes.
No, because as soon as they find out that there's no breast milk in it, then they're all for it. That's the number one question I get from men: is there breast milk in it? I'm like, no, but believe it or not, I have a guy in Michigan. Every month he buys a month supply of cookies. He's been my number one buyer since I've had the company open.
Now, I'm not going to get this personal because I don't know if he eats them himself or is he distributing them. But
he could push them on his woman.
As long as he's supporting you, and
I know that's right.
all good. But I mean, does the cookie have any benefits for men at all?
No, it's just the cookie. I mean, it's a healthy cookie. So maybe in that retrospect, but as far as like the health that it would benefit for women, no, it typically doesn't. But I mean, he likes oatmeal cookie. That's his favorite cookie. So I guess I'll make a good oatmeal cookie.
Okay. I'm about to say, because, men are going to be the first ones to tell you if something is not, agreeing with that palate.
Right.
So the fact that you got a man buying all these cookies and not only supporting you, I'm just, like I said, I'm just hoping he's giving them out. That's all. That's just my personal concern.
Girl, he eating them cookies.
If he eating them cookies, girl, I mean, do you think later on down the line, and I know it's pushing the thing where you could have come up with a cookie that's beneficial to men, anything that might be beneficial to any type of male health?
Male health,
like limp.
They have something for that. If I come up with a cookie that would benefit a man, it'll be something that's mental.
Yeah, girl. Okay.
I would definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, I'll take the mental attribution over the physical.
Right.
Because there are a lot of people out here thinking just because you're blessed and you got a lot of things going on down below the waist, that's going to be forever after. It gets boring.
Man,
quickly, and that's all you bring to the table.
Right.
But yeah, mental stimulus, girl. When you come up with that, please let us know so we can.
I'll make sure that y'all know.
I know a couple of these.
We might actually be the first ones to buy a batch and just start giving out free distribution. So that's all. That's our endorsement. Now let's talk about the author side that you have, because you did say you have a book that's a comical way of looking at motherhood, especially new moms. Because I know I read almost every book under the sun about what to expect when you're expecting, and all the additional books that you're supposed to read. So I was kind of prepared, but then afterwards they only give you so much book. At the end of that book, they only give you, okay, well, you're going to probably go through postpartum depression. Mm-hmm. You're probably going to do this. And I'm like, anything else?
Right.
No. So what was your approach with your book?
Well, because I'm talking about some serious topics such as postpartum, I want to make it comical. So, and not only do I address that, hey, you may have this issue, I give the solution to the issue. So each chapter starts with a joke. It states the problem, then at the end it gives a solution. So you're not just kind of, oh, this is going to be the bad thing that happens. Next chapter, this is the next bad thing that's going to happen. So I wanted to approach it in the most comical way that I can, so where the mom is not threatened or feel scared. I mean, because if you're a first-time mom, you're already nervous. So the last thing you want to read is that, hey, you're about to have all these issues. You know, your hair is going to fall out. Your feet are going to get bigger. You're going to have postpartum. You're going to be sweaty and all this other stuff. But believe it or not, the number one chapter in that book, again, a man gave me the best review. Men gave me the best review, and it's about the breast. That it's a chapter I have about the breast getting bigger. So, like, my number one reviews come from men, actually.
Yeah, men, like, I ain't got no problem with that. Men love some big old bitties.
I tell you. So, I mean, is it surprising to you that you have a lot of males supporting your business? Because it seems like, a majority of your work is aimed toward children and women. But you have a big, support team of men.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by it. But believe it or not, men really want to know what's going on with us, so they can kind of know how to maneuver and handle, especially in a sensitive situation as pregnancy. Because the only thing they may hear is something they see on TV or something that their mama told them that may not be true. It may just fit her and not the next woman and things like that. And they want to be as supportive as they can. So I think that's really why I have so many men supporters, because they really just want to know.
Right.
I think that's awesome, though, that men want to support the women. Mm-hmm. And that is a delicate, time for a woman. Yeah, I mean, it's hormones, you're emotional.
Right.
And I know just dealing with her while she was pregnant was enough.
What's that supposed to be?
Girl, you try to have a conversation, she knocked out, she having weird cravings.
Look, thank you, Joe, man. If nobody's ever been pregnant, that pregnancy sleep is like comatose. Right. Okay? You sit down and tend to watch a show and
or a conversation.
an old conversation.
Being mid
It could have just been that I was talking to you.
Anyway. No, we're not going to do that up in here. No.
You do have a few publications for men. I mean, you've got journals for men to write down conversations. I thought it was really cool because sometimes when we do have time to spend with our kids, do we have time to cherish the moments and just kind of jot down thoughts and memories of that particular sense and look back at it years later? What made you come up with that concept?
I was cleaning up and I saw the baby book that I have for my daughter. And I was like, it'll be a cute idea for like a parent to have their own little version of like a baby book to where they can keep for themselves. So in the book is questions that the parent asks the child and the child asks the parent. They just jot it down and they keep it as like a keepsake. So it's something to kind of go back on, and then you can pass it down when your kid has a kid, and just kind of see, well, hey, this is what me and my dad shared. This is what me and my mom shared and things like that. So I just thought it was a cute idea just based off me seeing my daughter's baby book.
Okay. That's awesome. Because I know at the time I got what they call a time capsule. You take everything from the year they were born, and you stuff it in that capsule and basically give it to them later on. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to save any of this for him to look at it. But here we go.
Right. So, and again, my biggest supporters for that have been men as well. Yeah,
exactly. Because matter of fact, the person responsible for his meetings in the building, Mr. C. Allen Photos.
Oh, yeah, that's my homie right there.
You guys, please follow this man because C. Allen is like, he is the bomb diggity. He's actually, any of those old photos you see of us that's professional, he's the one that shot them.
Okay, and we're going to get some new ones. just give me like 30, 40 pounds less, and I'm going to holler at you.
But you're also a child advocate. So what is it that made you want to, get into that field?
Just because, like, I went back to school when I was later on in life. I would say that. I ain't gonna tell you how old I am. But
ain't they business?
And the things that I learned when it came to the disparities of African American babies, the treatment that they get in hospitals, the moms especially, it just really just upset me. And then being in that field and seeing it firsthand, I was like, okay, this is not okay. So, and like I said, it seems like the best care is kind of like a hidden society, because even when I went to my class, it was 80 women in there. Only 6 of us was Black. So it's like, only we know what we know about us and they know what they know about them. So even though you can be the best nurse in the world, we are different. Our milk is different when it comes to races of women. We have the highest potent breast milk. So we could breast. Yeah. So it's a lot of things that they don't want us to know. But it's just very interesting when I look at the history of this, because breast milk is something that actually we used to give to slave men. And that's how they kept their strength. And slave masters noticed that because, they were starving them, but they would notice that the men were still able to go out and, to be in the field or whatever. And they noticed that the men were breastfeeding on the women. That's how potent our breast milk is. So that's where you see the wet nurse, or you see like the pictures of like the Black slave one with the white baby breastfeeding. Right. But they made it a stigma in our community, like, oh, we want to get away from being the maid and being the wet nurse and being this and being that, not knowing that down the line, generation to generation, was going to hurt our babies. Yeah. So I'm just trying to get the information out to get Black women to understand, like, our breast milk is the best milk. I would never stop saying that, and that our babies need that, and stop. I don't want to say lazy, but stop being lazy. The WIC office is cool, but they don't even do what they need to do because they're not really pressing the issue, I think, like they should, about, hey, let me give you this information. It's like, hey, you want the Similac? And go about your business. And that's just not the healthiest thing, because Similac by law does not have to put what ingredients is actually in it on their can. Yeah. So it's just a lot of information our community doesn't know, and I'm just really trying to get it out there. If I don't sell another cookie, I'm fine. I just want to get this information out there to our community the best way I can.
I seriously thought, and I don't have kids. I mean, I've been pregnant, but I don't have kids. But my thing is, I thought everyone knew how important breast milk was.
No. You'll be surprised.
Anybody that has children, breast milk should be the first. Your only option, to be honest with you. It's so much into it. It's the same thing as cutting the umbilical cord so quickly off your child is not good.
Right. But the thing is, in our community, we don't know a lot about our health and what's best for our baby. We just are getting told, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. Because no one ever came into my room to ask me, hey, do you want to breastfeed? But they wanted my placenta. That's the first thing that they asked me. So I'm like, well, if you want that so bad, then it must be something important about. So no,
and I heard that's good for you too.
It is, but it's things like that we don't know. It's just like when we're in the hospital, Black women and men need to know certain verbiage to get the health care that they need. They need to know their rights. It's just a lot of stuff our community does not know. That's why we're dying at such a high rate, and our babies are dying at a high rate, and our women are dying at childbirth. Like we die 75% more doing childbirth than any other race, and that's because we don't know.
And two, not only just not knowing the racism that's in the medical field.
Yes. Yeah. You'll be surprised, and since I'm in that field, I see it all the time. Yeah. I've gone in patients' room after a nurse and was like, okay, well, after a doctor, and like, hey, what did the doctor say he's going to prescribe you? And it'll be a totally different drug than what the patient needs. And I'm having to tell him, hey, when he comes back in here, tell him you're allergic to that and tell him that you want this particular prescription. And I shouldn't have to do that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But that's what we're having to do because we don't know. But I will say I do come into like a brick wall when it comes to Black women. They kind of set in their ways. Because I'm a breast milk pusher, like a drug dealer. I push
that's a good pusher. Exactly. So if you're pregnant,
I have no problem asking you, are you going to breastfeed? And some of the reaction is like, ew, no, I'm not going to do that. Like it's just the worst thing. But I'm like, you let Tyrone suck on the boob. You can't let that boob is for the baby, not for Dante. But okay, I'm one of them.
Yeah, what you're supposed to be. And they need to be thanking God that you were in that hospital.
Yeah.
Because breast milk is it is best for your baby nourishment, mental. I mean, y'all want your baby, little Tyrone, to be smart and intelligent. Give him that titty.
Right. I mean, because it helps with their development, their brain. It keeps them from being sick. It's just so many things. I see so many Black babies with asthma, skin issues and things like that. And I just want people to understand you don't have to breastfeed for 5 years, 2 years. If you can just breastfeed for at least 6 days to 6 weeks, that'll coat your baby's stomach to where if you did give them Similac, they'll be okay. But I just want you to try, just to give them a little bit.
And they need to be.
No, they don't encourage it, but you're absolutely right. I have never seen no big encouragement about women being more breastfeeding their children.
You get more people getting upset when they see women breastfeeding in public, which I don't care.
Right.
I mean, you hear more of a pushback on that, but no, Black women, I didn't know there was that much of a stigma with Black women not wanting to breastfeed. That's sad.
Yeah.
Because it reminds them of being a maid. We want to be like white women so bad to where it's like, okay, you're giving them the thing that our babies need the most because you don't want to look like a wet nurse or a maid and things like that. It was set up to be that way.
Right.
So we would stop doing it.
Yeah, well, we sometimes can hurt our own selves with the stigmas and the racism that's been put out there, and we can kind of double down on each other about these stigmas or Black men ain't no good or Black women ain't this. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's silly. But I'm glad that you're out there, making that point and letting people know how important it is because I know it definitely helps with brain development.
Yes,
it does.
Okay. And I'm like, you even got some grown men, even if they grown, they gonna still try to find some grown. There is a group of grown men that like to drink breast milk.
And that's perfectly fine. Because breast milk, if you're sick, and if a man is sick and he was to drink some breast milk, he would actually get well. That's how potent our breast milk is. I'm talking about our breast milk. No,
Black folk.
Yes.
Look, but that's our organs. That's why they're trying to steal them.
Yeah. Because one of the twins, I don't know which one it is, out of Tia and Tamara, the one that's married to the Black husband, that one.
Yes. Yeah.
When her husband gets sick, she used to give him her breast milk and he will be perfectly fine because that's what we need. And it doesn't taste disgusting. I know people think it looks weird, but it just tastes like sweet milk. I would say that, sweet almond milk.
But I was making a joke too just not that long ago, and I said people need to be drinking milk from a woman, not from a cow, because cow milk is not meant for our bodies.
Because we're not cows.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why when I hear someone say they're lactose intolerant, I'm like, no, you're not lactose intolerant. You're not a cow.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be drinking that particular milk.
Right.
If there's ever a market for breast milk, I mean, do you think even if women didn't want to take the option of actually doing that, they actually sold breast milk? And I know there's black markets. They do
thing. Sell. They do sell. But they don't sell it. They do donate it.
Okay.
But let's be clear. Black women don't know how important our milk is, but white women do. There are plenty of milk banks And white women specifically request black women milk.
Mm.
That's the sad part about it.
Give me some of that milk from Ghana.
They will request that. So yeah, they know, but we don't know. So
yeah,
that's amazing though. At this time that we're in, with all this racial tension, that we still have women that are Caucasian requesting African American milk.
Yes, they will request that.
That is amazing to me. But I let you know, I mean, once they found out how it was strengthening black men in slavery, that's when you started seeing them on the porch with their babies.
Right. But then they also had an agenda to where, like, you ever go back and look at ads, you would see that they kind of had a bunch of doctors come out and make it seem like breastfeeding was bad. So it also caused the women to be like, oh, it's bad. It's like, I don't know why we're going to use our common sense. If it's bad for our babies, why is it good for their babies? You know? And then they just put on this really bad stigma, like, oh, if you're breastfeeding, you're a wet nurse, which is kind of like a maid. And, you know, we want to get away from that. You want it to look like, you know, class and things like that. To me, there's nothing more classier than making sure your baby is healthy.
Fact.
So.
That makes sense to me. I mean, I want to know this products, though, because I know you got cookies, you have brownies, anything else that you have on the menu of your treats?
I have, I believe, 6 flavors of the cookies. I have lactation tea, which is never on the website because it always gets sold out as soon as I post it. We also have like apparel, like shirts and things like that, and then just like the books. What I'm trying to come out with next, I call it Cub Water, which is like water. You know how they have like the baby water that you make for bottles and things like that.
Yeah.
So that will be like my next project. Also, I developed 3 breastfeeding rooms for 3 different facilities. One at Texas Southern University, and one at a hospital facility, and one at a nonprofit. So my goal is 107 HBCUs, and I'm trying to put a mother's room on each campus. So
that's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like this.
That is awesome. I mean, I'm glad that you're doing it, girl. I just did not know how much in depth that this was a needed conversation for people just to have general information.
I didn't know either.
Exactly.
I just assumed that everybody knew breast milk was the best. That placenta. And I know a lot of people be like, ew, but eating your placenta later is supposed to be really good for you. Not cutting the cord off, y'all make your baby dumber when you cut it off too quick.
Yeah.
And then you're not supposed to give birth on your back. That's another thing.
Yeah, you're supposed to squat.
Yeah, you're supposed to squat.
You put emphasis on that, Rocky.
No, you are supposed to squat. And I know all this and have no kids. I'm like, why?
But I also want black women to start looking into like birthing doulas instead of actually being in the hospital setting. It's a lot safer for our babies if you don't have an African American physician. Luckily for me, because I almost died, and so did my daughter when I was giving birth to her because of the doctor that I had. But luckily, a black man delivered my daughter. So I have a small incision. He took real good care of me. But the lady that I had was Caucasian, and she didn't want me to have a C-section, so she kept me in labor for 24 hours.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but that story, that's my story. That's my story.
Yeah, because I really want women to start looking into black physicians, whether they're African or just African American. But you need to get you a black physician, because you'll be surprised how one doctor will tell you one thing, and you go to us. And I'm like, well, no, I can fix that. I can treat that. But we have to like stop being in this mind frame that white is right. And I'm not being racist. I'm just being what I see.
No, but it's
what I see. Right. So you have to start looking into that. And I was so grateful that luckily it was my doctor's birthday. And she left early. And as soon as she left, as soon as she walked out the door, they rolled me to the emergency C-section, and there was a black guy there, and he delivered my daughter. So, but we could have died if she would have stayed. So it's things like that. Yeah. That's why the health disparities are so high, because I would have been another statistic of a black woman dying during birth.
Because that's another thing, like I said now, because another one of our audience members just said that's a similar story that she resonates with her as well. Right. So since you got at least 3 to 4 women in here already that have the same story.
And I have a client that's her son's severely autistic.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that happened with her. And I would tell Michelle wanted to go to a great hospital, good hospital, and she did, but I told her the med would have did her a lot better.
Yeah, because it was a majority of black staff at that particular hospital.
Right.
So, but the doctor I had been seeing had recommended another hospital for me to go to. Okay. So once I got there, I forgot how long I was in labor. It wasn't over 24 hours. but it was a choice between, let's try to have a vaginal birth versus a C-section.
Yeah. Kevin, he was stuck in the canal for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for some reason, they don't want to. I mean, a C-section is not a good procedure if you can avoid it, but if it's needed, it's needed. And for some reason, I've noticed that they're very gung-ho about us not having C-sections when we need to have them. They rather keep the baby in there. We're suffering, the baby's suffering because they want you to have a vaginal birth. And to be honest with you, it's about pricing.
See. Lord have mercy.
And she had a nurse in there. I don't know if the nurse was black or white, but said, don't you think she needs a C-section? And they did not give Michelle a C-section.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's a lot because, no disrespect to the nurse, a nurse only knows so much when it comes to like birthing of a baby. That's why I'm saying a doula would be a good option as well for a black mother. But a lot of nurses are not skilled in lactation as well. Because I had a black nurses and they were like, oh, okay, let me see if we can find you a pump. Because they don't have that certification. It's a hard certification to get. And like I said, black women aren't aware of it. The one black lactation consultant that I did see when I did my clinical, she was in the NICU, but the charge nurse wouldn't let her see black patients. And they're like, these babies are in the NICU. They need the information, the mom's the information on breastfeeding more than anybody. But she was not allowed to do that. It was the craziest thing.
It's so sad how they keep us in the dark on just all these things.
Yeah, it's like a secret society. I always say that. Like felt like I was in a sunken place. I was like, okay, are we in the right spot? Because it was literally 80 people and 6 of us were black. And we all were looking at each other like, like, okay, we need to sit by each other and close to the door because it was that bad. And they knew all about this stuff and we were just sitting there like, wow. It's like they don't want us to know. But I'm going to make sure I tell it.
I was about to say, are you going to come out with a book specifically for black women about this hidden information, secret society stuff that we're not let in on? Because I think that would be a start on getting the word out. Because I know you have a lot to talk about because this is what you read and eat all the time. So I think, would that be something on the table?
I would have to make sure that it's worded right. You know what I mean? To release it because it's some heavy stuff. That's why I try to do things as light as I can. That's why the other book is comical. I do have another book that's coming out called Myth versus Fact. That kind of goes, about the myths of what they say certain things are based on fact when it comes to like parenting and motherhood and things like that. I would definitely consider it if I can find a lighthearted way to bring say it. Because in this time, we don't want to hear anything dramatic and harsh. There's a lot going on. So if I can find a way to deliver it in a manner to where I can get you to pay attention and retain it in a nice way, then I definitely would. Because it's so much verbiage that you can say in a hospital. One thing I do want anyone that's on to know, if you're a black woman or a black man, if you feel like, hey, I want this procedure done, like say I want an EKG done, and they're saying, no, you don't need one. You can tell the hospital, okay, I need a refusal letter from you saying that you won't give it to me. This is what this does. If you walk out of there, you have a heart attack, you can sue the hospital. They don't want that. So they will go ahead and give you the EKG. Because we've had a woman come in, she had a breast issue. One of her boobs was bigger than the other, and they kept trying to do an x-ray. And she was like, that's not what I want. I don't want an x-ray. And they kept saying, well, that's the only thing we're going to do. So I told her, get a refusal letter. They didn't want to give it to her. They finally took her back there and they did a test on her breast. It was infected. But this is the thing that she's been asking y'all to do all night. Yeah. But it's things like that black people don't know. It's a lot of verbiage you need to know to be in the hospital to get the care that you need.
That's so sad.
Yeah. So I know a lot of ladies right now, take that down. If you know somebody is expecting,
especially men, you may have a pregnant girlfriend or pregnant wife at home, and you don't want none of this for your child nor your wife.
And that's the thing. A lot of black women are more susceptible to death during pregnancy.
Yeah,
right.
And I was, when this first came to the table to me, and I was like, okay, why is that so? Because it could be racism, or it also could be lack of information on our part, as well as people just not really digging into the issue at hand.
Right.
Well, I think it starts off racism.
Yeah.
Because the doctor knows, and like you said, it's a secret society. They know these things that they can do, and they're not going to tell you because you're black and you don't need to know about it. So
and
I'm
they
going to
think you
start
don't
there.
know as well.
Yeah,
We're looked at as the strong of the race. The black women are strong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they feel like, oh, well, you're not hurting that bad. You're exaggerating. When we hurt, when we say we hurt, they think we're exaggerating. So they don't take it serious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Right.
There's certain verbiage that you will literally have to say to get a doctor's attention or a nurse attention for them to be like, okay. And it's really sad. I mean, I shouldn't have to go to the hospital and know certain medical terms or pharmacology because you're trying to give me a drug that's for nausea when I have a headache.
Yeah.
You know?
Just anything to, pretty much thinking you were taken care of.
Right.
Well, they did a recent study on doctors and these kids or these people going into doctoring, and they actually feel the same thing back in slavery, that we don't feel the same amount of pain as white people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, boy, my mind's blown. I don't know if I can be ignorant tonight.
Oh, you can be ignorant. Trust me, it's still in there.
But a lot of things can be avoided, I think, if we just knew and we went to people that look like us.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
That's true.
Because we are trying to, I'm trying to get as much information as I can out, but I need people to listen. Like I said, I get a lot of walls up when you try to say something that they're so used to not hearing. They want to keep going with the norm and things like that. And I'm like, the WIC office is cool. I'm not against you having to give formula if you have to give it, but I want you to try. I want you to know the information out there, because a lot of times I just think it's more of this is free, so I'm just going to do this and things like that. But I'm like, what's free in your boob? All you got to do is pull it out and then put it back on in. But then you got to make a bottle. You got to put water in it. You got to heat it up.
Exactly.
You got to measure it, everything.
Kitty already got body temperature. Just sit down, pull it out, and put that baby on it.
And it lasts for months if you freeze it. So it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things. They just don't know. I'm trying to get out there the best that I can.
Well, honey, I am just thankful that we had a chance to talk about this information, because I'm like, this is a conversation I wish I had like 20 years ago.
18.
And I get that a lot from people. They're like, I didn't know, and that's very unfortunate. Because there's a lot of resources for women who want to breastfeed or from postpartum, things like that, but our community do not know. It's literally a lactation resource center off of 16 in South Main. Everybody know what that Chachos is over there.
But they don't know about that spot.
But it's right there. It's right there. Yeah.
Get a taco and some breast milk. That's fair.
And I'm serious, but I mean, anyone that's expecting or you haven't had a child yet, go follow her so you can get all this good information.
Yes.
Make sure that you're safe, your baby's safe, and you men.
Will you be holding any webinars or anything of that nature? I mean, even though I know you're still trying to find a way to approach it book-wise, but is there a way you can just have an information platform for women? Where we could just come and attend and just get information needed for expecting mothers.
I've actually been working on something like a little YouTube channel, IG TV type thing. I think my issue is I want perfection, and I think I just should just put it out there and work out the kinks later. But I have a lot of things that I recorded that help moms, even with the mom who may have a baby already that's bringing on a second child. Like how to adapt to that and how to get the oldest sibling to deal with. There's a bunch of things I touch on. I just haven't released it yet. And it's also the book is called Thanks for Telling Me. That's what the channel is called.
Yeah. Yes, it
so
is.
I just need to put it out there, I guess.
Put it out there, girl.
Definitely.
Start a weekly live. I mean, there's so many different ways to approach it, because this information is so needed, especially in our community, with breast milk being a stigma to us sometimes. Like I said, not just even approaching or making considerations of the health benefits.
Yeah.
But I think you've got a great message that I wish that more people would listen to. Because I know, had you told me this a while back, I'd have been like, okay, refusal letter, breast milk only, and wear the cookies.
And breastfeeding helps you lose weight. It's the quickest way to lose weight after birth.
But no, facts, because I breastfed for at least a month. At least a month. And I mean, like that.
Right.
I was like, well, shoot, I should have breastfed a long time ago, girl.
And a lot of women, I don't understand because I've always heard that.
Yeah.
And I've always heard, you always hear white women talking about this, but black women, y'all got to get with the program and stop with this stigma of, what's beneficial to us, and you thinking about how you look all the time. Don't nobody give a damn about how you look.
Look, the baby's here. Let's make sure that the best benefits the baby gets not only your love and attention, but your breast milk.
And that breastfeeding is a bonding moment for you and your child, a strong bond.
Right, right.
It
and
really
some
is.
people may have issues, but it's things that you can do to help it, because you can't really control your production of it, but there's things you can do that can enhance it. So, I mean, I just want women to try. And like I said, it can be 6 days, 6 weeks, as long as it's something. Just try. Just don't just like, okay, this milk is free that they're giving me. This is what I'm going to give. Because that milk, I think, in my opinion, from what I see, causes a lot of issues with
I'm
babies.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
I need to open a market up just for breast milk, in the black neighborhood.
I don't even want to see the ads on that one, right?
No, I'm just saying,
I'm just talking about if you did it.
They're not going to have boobies. It's going to be in the glass. But you think about all the sick elements that a lot of black people have that we know. And, you hear about all these new diseases and our problems with kids that we didn't have when we were coming up.
Right.
And Levante Rogers, you come right in flirting. Hey, how you doing? My God.
We're talking about breast milk, Levante. You should join in. But just knowing that a woman can give her breast milk to her man when he's ill to get him better. I mean, that's just, it's a lot of things that people learn.
Right.
Yes, yeah, I'm still crazy, baby. I ain't going to change.
That ain't going to never change.
But, I mean, that's amazing to know. So, brothers, if y'all are sick, your woman is lactating, get some milk.
Exactly.
Your woman, not somebody
Not
else.
anybody.
Yeah, we ain't doing no random sick.
Not random,
We're not doing
random
that.
boob milk or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Get you a shot glass and have $10 ready.
What you going to do, open a breast milk bar where you get shots? You know what?
That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I'm done.
But I
You
do
can
want to
pick which
give
black woman.
this little fact that I know it always makes people's eyes go like this big when I tell them this. So, say for instance, if you had a daughter and say you had a son, you will be able to breastfeed your grandbaby. You would. So, say for instance, your daughter gave birth and she passed away during childbirth, you'll be able to breastfeed your granddaughter because you carried her already. So that's a fun fact. Yes.
Girl.
So any grandmothers who daughters give birth, you can actually breastfeed their baby because you carried the baby in your womb as well.
See, girl, I promise you, this is why we have to have people like this on here so we can learn.
Because I got that question before, like, hey, so what do you do if my daughter passed away? Am I supposed to go to a milk bank? I'm like, no, you can actually breastfeed the baby. As long as you get the sensation after a while and latch the baby on, it'll make the body go into what it needs to and start producing the milk for the grandmother can.
Oh, that's awesome. I did not know that.
I'm gonna bring that up. I'm gonna bring that up with my mom next time we have it. Next time we
Alex, like, I'm gonna be looking at the breasts. That's like, see, it ain't just titties for y'all's vision. These breasts bring health and bring the community together.
Yes. Unite the family as one.
Yes. Keep you black men strong. I'm just reading Alex's comment. I'm just saying, respect. Y'all black men start respecting the titties.
Right.
Put some speck on it. That's all I'm saying. Put some speck on it. that black breast is powerful.
Yes, it is powerful.
It's a powerful thing. It is.
You think about all the
we
black
don't know
men.
it. They know it, but we don't. So I'm trying to get it out there so we can take control of our boobies.
Well, I will remind black men every time they say something outside their face, respect these titties. Respect these titties. You need a T-shirt line that says "Respect these titties." Because
you know what? I may have to do that then.
Girl, you're gonna have to do that. Because you think about all the black men they was trying to starve, and the sad thing, slave masters did that so often. I don't understand it because you want them to work for you for free anyway.
Right.
How they gonna work if you starve them? But the black woman say, the black woman, we have been there for our men in so many ways.
Yep.
This is something new I learned today about us keeping our black men strong when the white man was starving y'all out in the fields. We breastfed y'all asses.
Yep.
That is something else.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Because the goal was to break the black man down in front of the eyes of the black woman. That's why they would feed them and things like that. But yeah, the woman would just in the middle of the field would pull her breast out and he would breastfeed, and the slave master saw that and he was like, you know what? If that's making them that strong, what it would do for our kids. So that's where the wetness.
It ain't gonna do the same because you gotta still be black. You gotta have these black genes first of all.
Right. It ain't gonna be the same. But yeah. But the thing was really sad. That's where the health disparity started for our babies because they were giving all their milk to their babies and not to their own.
Yeah. That's sad.
Yeah. It goes back a long way, a long, long way.
Now you're going to have to come up back with an animation of the story of the breast milk back in slavery.
Girl, I will. I will. With a boob out, that man, come here, baby. But we've always been there for our black men. We've always been there. And now you see it's a whole nother way that we was there for them.
Exactly. Miss Charlee, I cannot tell you, girl, it's been a pleasure. We didn't learn so much. I feel like I've just gone to a history class and I enjoyed it. So
yes. And make sure you release those videos, girl. People got to know.
They need this information, very much so. First of all,
I definitely will.
Everybody follow Charlee right now, okay? Because she has a lot of interesting posts. And I meant to ask you, what is your passion with cigars, girl? I see you be balling with the cigars.
It's either that or weed. So
see, that's why I knew we was here. We was here. I knew it. Respect the titty and get a blunt. What? Girl, that's what I'm talking about.
Cigars is what I do to relax and calm and things like that. So
right. Now everybody needs their outlet, honey. Because I promise you, we on option B. But hey, it's all good.
Yeah. So that's what that's about. That's what that's about.
Is there anywhere else they can find you online, Charlee?
They can follow me on Instagram at the Charlee King and the business page at mommysweettreats. At Mommy Sweet Treats. So links to everything are in both of the pages for the website and things like that. And I think I'm gonna try to release a video. Y'all kind of inspired me to try to do that. So because
do it, girl. I may have to start sending you a weekly text. Okay, where's the video?
Right. I really appreciate you guys having me on. I had a great time.
We loved having you, girl, and this won't be the last, honey. Because like I said, anytime you got another publication or another flavor, let us know. So we're like, she got a new flavor.
Okay, I definitely will. I can say y'all some cookies. They're not going to do anything. It's because you're not pregnant, so you eat. I want you to try some.
Okay. Of course. I'll try some. I can't breastfeed, but that's all right.
They won't make you lactate. I promise you, they won't. They won't.
I'm sure my friend wouldn't mind if they did. That nasty nigga.
Oh, my God. Well, we're going to play a game with the audience. But Charlee King, thank you so much for joining us, Heifers. And we're going to have you back on. And thank you for that history lesson, honey, because it was so much information that we did not